welcome the speakers on behalf of the Alumni Relations team. Our Associate Dean, Professor Vicky Bhatt, sent his warm wishes to the speakers and hopes everyone in attendance will have a great time as well. Professor Vicky wanted to be here for this event, but he had some prior commitments to adhere to, so he couldn't. Moving on, Avril and I will be co-hosting today. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to put them out in the chat box.
Our speakers for today are Mr. Praharsh Raikar, a 2016 mechanical engineering graduate of BITS Goa. He pursued his master's in technical from ETH Zurich, Switzerland, and is currently working as a researcher in the field of energy, climate change, and sustainability at VITO, a Flemish sustainability research institute in Belgium. Mr. Anadi Mishra is also a 2016 graduate of BITS Goa. He did his engineering in electrical and electronics and went on to pursue MBA from IIM Bangalore. Currently working with McKinsey & Co., he has experience across corporate transformation and operation excellence, mostly across auto and material industries. Over to you, Anadi and Praharsh.
Thanks, Aviral. Thanks, Shreyanshi. Thanks so much. So, friends, here, Praharsh and I, as all of you got to know, both of us have been friends, more like brothers over the past so many years. Started off our journey in BITS together. This is both of us actually in Europe in 2017. A3PS 141 was myself, and A4 and from PS to TS transformation was Praharsh. 012, the topper. He was the topper right from the start. Before we started off session, we just wanted to share with all of you. We wanted to share. Just give me 1 second. Praharsh, can you continue?
Yeah, sure. Yes. Hello, everyone. So, as Anadi said, our journey goes long back, right from the hostel in BITS, where Anadi clicked his first picture when he got his new phone with the flower and the most beautiful place of ours in campus, which is the AH3 hostel. We did a lot of trips with our most prized memories and friends from BITS, and this is the most beautiful things which we have got from BITS. And I wish we had got the bus as well to continue the party as we go along. And the second picture is the picture at Chapora Fort, and we are just screaming out loud after our T2 got over and the exams, and we are totally free. While me and Anadi had two different journeys during our time at BITS, we were, apart from the strong friendship, we were also together in one of the key events of BITS. It is Korg. Anadi was the chief coordinator of Korg, and I was one of the technical panel coordinator. And this is Anadi's team, which we can see in the bottom picture, a huge one, and it was great fun to be part. So completely two different journeys, and yet we are together in different aspects, but we still hold on our journeys and friendship. And this is one of our picture from Switzerland from 2017. And this sets up us for the next task, which I think Anadi will proceed.
Yeah. So friends, so today what we wanted to do, we wanted to break this session into 3 parts, right? The first one, we wanted to first talk about so there were some top of the mind things that we as students wanted to know when our seniors were visiting campus. So the first session, we wanted to speak about how did we decide on our career paths? What did we do in order to, prepare ourselves for the same? When within our career path, then how did you decide what will be our next step? And lastly, today, exactly what we are doing, right? That's the session by Praharsh and myself that we'd like to take 20 minutes. We have allocated for that. Next, we received some very interesting questions from all of you for both of us. So that's another 15 minutes that we were thinking that we'll try to answer these specific questions. And lastly, then we wanted to open up the panel and then hear from all of you in case there is any more pointers that we can assist on. So having said that, let's start today's session. I'll switch off the screen, the sharing, and let's proceed.
Okay, so a question for both of you. After BITS, how did you decide on your career path, and like how did you decide what is going to be the next step after engineering? Yeah.
This question is very easy to answer for Praharsh. Very difficult.
For me, actually, like Anadi said, I'm mech by choice. So like one of the things which I had decided before joining BITS was that I wanted to do mechanical engineering. And this was by pure craze of Formula One, like the need for driving the Netflix series. I don't know if you've seen Drive to Survive, the craze of racing. And when I joined BITS, I realized that it's the same concept, like it's fluid mechanics, thermodynamics applied at the highest level. And I was part of one of the starting members of SCA BITS Goa Collegiate Club, where we designed and also raced sort of a Formula student car. While I was doing this, I was also involved in academics and discussed with our professors, Shibu Clement sir, Ranjit Patil sir, M.K. Deshmukh sir, and to see what are the other fields that we can firstly apply this knowledge and where I can myself be more interested in and contribute to the field. And energy was one of the topics, and it's like the same concept, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, but then applied for a real life problem that we are all facing, which is climate change. And this led me to do more projects into it, some international internships, thesis, and eventually it was like the drive to contribute to this field and also to find out more about like what are the best universities doing and to study at the best places. So that led me to apply for masters and to do the MS.
Quite cool, yaar, Pai. I wish I had that story. But anyway, so my journey before BITS has actually has very little relevance in my career choice. So while BITS journey overall has been a great influencer in me deciding doing an MBA. While at BITS, one of the things was that as part of campus culture, right, you are part of multiple departments. So I was part of BITSA, I was core member in DOSM, handling sponsorship for all the festivals. And then by the time I was in third year, I was heading the technical festival, which is Cork, as chief coordinator and event set. During all these things, there were a few elements which really I started loving. First one was problem solving, intense problem solving, getting things moving on ground. When there is nothing, absolutely nothing there, how can you create something? As a 20-year-old guy, right? How can you inspire teams to, as who are 18-year-olds or first year, right, to do something which is absolutely no, what do you say, obligation to anybody, to any system, right? And third one was I started loving all these communication sessions, right from my first year, right, to be heads of companies. At that time, it was only, say, marketing heads of regional departments. Now it's completely different, but still I started getting that flavor and it gave me a knack. So that's angle of pull from the kind of work that I used to do. The second angle was when I was visualizing within myself that as electronics engineer, what will my path look like? I myself was not so heavily motivated that I wanted to spend more years doing masters and doing this. So there was another need of shifting my field from my technical place and going into more into corporate mindset. So my answer was clear. It became more clear to me that maybe MBA is an option that I should pursue. What within MBA was not clear while I was in BITS. And this is a point to remember. But I had to do an MBA that started coming from third year onwards. And that was my push.
Very interesting. So how did you guys prepare for this? Like what were the mechanism that both of you leveraged? How did you prepare?
For me, it was slightly longer process than I would say for Anadi in terms of MBA admit. So like when you're applying for masters, you have to plan in advance in terms of the kind of projects that you're planning to do. In fact, the kind of field that you're going to work firstly. So I did a lot of DOPs, SOPs, like I was part of MyTax, which is like International Research Experience in Canada, which is like sponsored by the Canada government. I was also doing internship or like the thesis. So I converted from PS to TS in the final year, and I did my thesis in IIT Bombay. So these are all the parts which bring in the research experience while you are in BITS itself, which is a great opportunity to utilize. Apart from this, I was actually applying for like trying to look out for what are the universities which are there, reaching out to different people, especially BITSians. So we have something called BITS to MS PhD. And this is a platform where people can connect and then you can meet different people who are either applying at the same batch or like who have already been there. And you have a lot of resources on what is the timeline to follow, what are the kind of exams you need to do, what are the documents which you need to submit. So all that was quite useful. So I would say these are the two things. Firstly, the projects and to build a research experience, and then also to follow the process to make sure you can apply for the best places.
Perfect. What I was also thinking, if you can find that group's link, right, and post it on the chat here, it might be
That's a
helpful
good
for
idea.
some of the colleagues, right? We'll also send it across over mail when we send the content
Sure,
back.
I think we can mail it to them. Yes.
Yeah, we'll mail it to them. Yeah. Friends, so my journey, I'll not take more than 20 seconds to just say what I did for CAT, because that's irrelevant. All of you already know. So my journey overall CAT preparation, I would say, was 9 months. For the first 3 months was a bit lax, just getting myself into the groove of preparing. That's the January to April. From April onwards was the real grunt work which started. 6 months I gave myself to get myself ready for CAT and to get into the 99.8 percentile above bracket. The first 4 months, the idea was very clear that revision has to happen twice. The second idea was also that I have to work on my weaker topics 2x that I'm working on my strengths. And this is where most people not fail, but it slips from their mind that the amount of time is a good metric to see. I used to spend 6 hours on English because I knew that my English wasn't good. Whereas I used to spend like 3.5, 4 hours on maths. So that 10 hours of the day gone. Rest of the time I used to play frisbee. But dedicated 10 hours. Right. And any other thing, preparatory was self-preparatory, everything else is left aside. There is nothing else to do. Nothing like as complicated as Prash was saying.
That's great. Like, how did you decide on your career path post masters? Like, what made you? How did you choose your post masters?
Yeah. So for me, it was like, what are the options that I have? Say when I'm at ETH, when I have done the internship, I've taken the next technology level of courses, which will be there in say 10 years, 20 years down the line. And I've also done my thesis. So the way I looked at it was, if my internship was my future job, then what are the things which are missing, or what are the things that I can bring in to make it better? At the same time, so that is the part where, say, I apply my master's for a technological position at a company, for example. And then at the same time, there is also another opportunity which is open after you do master's, is to do further research. So doing a PhD. So that was something which I also considered the same way, that if my thesis, which I do, if that is my PhD, then how do I approach it? Or like, what are the things that I need to consider? And along with these two, I was also part of something called Climate Kick. I think you guys, if somebody is interested in climate change, should definitely check it out. It is one of the biggest organizations in Europe, which involves students for climate change. And I was part of their summer school seminars, startup ideas, design thinking. So then this was another third picture which brought in that these are the three things that I want to work on, like technology application in a company versus research versus climate innovation. So either I have to choose one of them, and then I thought, is there a fourth option where I can also maybe have bits and pieces of either of these things, and then look out for something called as, which I'm working right now. It's a place called Vito, and it's a research and technology organization. So what we do is we bring in the research onto the field, so through prototype and also future products. So it's like a transition phase from research to application. And this is exactly what I found interesting. So I would say the same way, that once you look at all the options and then trying to figure out what's the best one for you at that point of time would be the key. And I think for Anadi, would like to elaborate on his process, which will be, I think, more interesting.
Yeah, Praj, before we go on, actually, there is a question for you in the chat box. Where did you do your thesis from?
Yes, my thesis was in IIT Bombay, and it was in heat exchangers and mechanical engineering. And it was the same time when me and Anadi went for a concert by Slash. We were at the same place at the same time for a weekend.
Interesting. And that was 2 weeks before CAT.
Yeah.
2 weekends before we went to Mumbai, he presented. Also, one interesting story about IIT Bombay. is that they decided to enter a competition in IT Bombay. This was during Prash, what was the name? TechFest?
Yeah,
TechFest
IT
only.
Bombay TechFest. Yeah.
TechFest only, yeah, correct. So TechFest, right? And one day before, the presentation is at 8 a.m. At 3 a.m., these guys start to make the presentation. Nothing is there. And they win the first prize at 8 a.m. And that's the kind of friends I have. Technically, so technically sound, I would say. But overall, so yeah, while I was in IIM Bangalore, I think so. Now MBA I have entered. The idea was to understand now from here, where do I have to go? This was the linkage that I was trying to make is that what are my strengths, what are my interests, and what are the possible options in hand, right? Where I can actually find these three. So coming to the first part, right? So again, a couple of elements here. The first of all, my strengths. I was trying to answer this question that I know that there are 2-3 things I am good at, say problem solving, say core problem solving. I am maybe good at people relationships. Are there possible job options which give me this venture to utilize my strengths? If not, then I will not be living up to whatever I am like. Maybe the potential and my best version will not come out. The second thing was I was trying to answer this question of what will my daily work look like. Now to bring it to more real perspective, it was more about, say, will I be talking to people on an everyday basis, or will I be talking to only, say, a limited set of number of people? Will I be interacting with CXOs, CEOs, department heads across industries, across businesses, or will it be only within the company? Will it be an active job, traveling job? Will it be a desk job? All these factors were very important for me because I knew that the kind of work that I do day in, day out impacts my productivity. It impacts me as a person and everything. If I'm not enjoying that thing, it might not be the correct profession. And lastly, there was this whole angle of exactly what am I doing? This angle of the problem that I'm solving, or say whatever profession I am, what am I giving back? Is it adding value to the society? Is it adding to the organization? Is it adding value to me? Am I ticking all these 3 boxes or not? So basis this. Now in MBA, there are multiple options available, right? You have financial, you have banking, you have finance, you have consulting, you have strategy, you have product development, program manager, multiple companies across all these different domains. And I try to see where can I find a perfect mix for myself within this. Where is there a good fit? That was my idea, and that's how I chose consulting. So one question for me, did you do MBA directly after BE from BITS? The answer is yes. And if yes, did you prepare CAT during 3rd and 4th year? Yes. So not so much in third year. Third year, as I was saying, till April, it was only setting. I was just trying to get into a groove, trying to spend 3 hours, 4 hours, just settling into the system. And then from April, it was rigor, pure rigor, 10 hours a day, minimum.
Yeah, so another question for both of you. Had both of you done any projects or SOPs while you were in campus?
Yes, indeed. For me, I did a few as well, and specific to the topic which interested me. And I think for Anadi as well, he did a diverse ones, right?
Yeah, I did couple of technical and but more not so much towards management. So it like whatever I did was from only course perspective, nothing for MBA. So it did not made any link.
So I had a question, like what does it mean to be a research graduate or consultant? Like what all work goes in it?
Okay. Hey, Praveen, before you answer this, right? Yeah. Before you answer this, I wanted to, to all the people who are there on this call today, just wanted to know, is this question that we should discuss right now in this session, will it interest you to understand what kind of work, like how does a day in life of Praharsh looks like, and how does a day in life of Anadi look like as a consultant? Or does it make more sense for me to only talk about MBA? Because I just wanted to know your thoughts. Just post on the group as in what you want to know. Oh, great. Sam is saying yes. Rishabh is also saying yes. Prash, yeah, we should take this one.
It's a lot of debugging, breaking your head, but it's also like, I think major tasks are reading, writing, coding, but at also the same time, you should also realize that what are the questions that you're trying to solve, and are you developing the right approaches to solve or like to answer those questions. And once you have this in mind, one other thing which I have to keep is how does this, or like how does my role fit into the bigger picture of the company, or like the team that I'm part of, the research roadmap, or like the application roadmap. And then eventually, how does this fit into the overall climate change scenario? So then individually it moves from like individual. I think for me, it's a lot more independent work than for Anadi, but then once say 80% would be independent work, and then 20% will be discussions and finding it in the bigger picture, and then also developing further on the ideas, and then going back to the drawing board and working it across.
I like we also use the concept of going back to the drawing board. We just take the clients along with us. That's the only difference. But getting guys, so overall, so before I say what my day looks like, right? So what exactly? So when I was in 4th year of BITS, I had absolutely no clue what a consultant's job is, who a consultant is, wo karta kya hai. I did not know. So for me, so basically consultants are nothing but they are the ones who work with organizations, businesses, governments, right, to solve the problem at hand. The problems could be as simple as, suppose there is a production plant. They have hired you to improve the performance. To something, say a company is there, they want you to help them identify more customers, help them make new strategies. To say some governments coming in and telling you, can you make a 10-year strategy for us? As in, how should this country look like? And how will we deliver it? So that's what a consultant is. They strategize, they design, and then they implement along with the companies. Now, just to give a bit flavor on what exactly currently my current project, what I am doing, my problem statement is that there is a tire manufacturer who has created a new production plant. They were producing at 4,000 tires per day from this plant in end of December. The problem statement was that, can you come and can you help us to take this production number from 4,000 to 12,000 in 3 months? Right. So the problem was, can you give me a 2,000 tires per day uptick? 2,000 tires per day uptick per month. That quantum can you increase? And earlier rate of ramp up was 450. So they were asking us to do 4 times of that. And good enough, we are at March and we are delivering those numbers. But just the sheer notion, right? The impact within 3 months, if you look in real terms, the market share has become thrice. Their revenues have become thrice. Their profits have become thrice with the same everything. Nothing changed. So that's the real business value. There are more employment coming in. 125 more number of people have got employed because of this. This ramp up. 700 people at the plant today working, right? So it's quite cool to when I look at overall like the past 3 months journey. And this is how, so your journey changes project to project and everything happens, right? So how a day in my life look like? So I start off at around 8ish, have good breakfast. 8:30 to 9:30, 10, I actually sit down and I pen down my thoughts. I understand what do I have to do in the day? What are the things that I need to move in order to ensure that there is an impact at the client's end for the day? And what do I have to do for the day? I plan out my day action by action. From there, the first, say till 5 p.m., most of the time goes discussing with clients, problem solving with them on specific topics, understanding what is the issue, deep diving, aligning multiple things with them so that there is no ambiguity. And after that, post 5 p.m., then we typically tend to work we do killer analysis after that. Like post 5 p.m. it's our time. Client has gone home. Now we work, we take our laptops, we do analysis. We put our brains behind, as in what will it take to actually solve the problem. And we prepare answers. So to give a summary view of this is, we create answers 1 day before, 1 week before, and then we take it to clients, we discuss, we align, we solve. And that's the iterative process that we keep following. And that's how the day looks like. So post 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. it's us working. 9 p.m. is team dinner always, every single time. The whole team sits together. It's usually a small team of 3 to 4 people only. But it's like you have dinner and then you do a couple of hours and then you party and drink. That's it. Every single day you do. So that's the whole journey from 8 a.m. to whatever time. A typical day sometimes looks like roughly 13, 14 hours a day. On bad projects, it's 20 hours a day also. So there have been days in line, like November 2020 for me. 20 hours a day was every single day for 21 days. So that's the sheer quantum of work that used to happen. But that's how it looks like to be a consultant.
Mhm. And I think I would like to add that
I'll-
to do that much amount of work per day, you really need to be driven for impact like Anadi is. And I think that's really impressive of him.
Thanks, right?
Yeah, 20 hours of work is like too much.
Amazing.
I had
No, but it's
I had
nothing to
one
be
more.
glory. It's not glory. It's just that.
I had one more question from my side. Like, how relevant is your engineering part, like the study content part, and how helpful is the work you learned from the clubs, like Dawson, you said, like managing events like Quark. How relevant is that in your current life, and how relevant are the studies you did in college relevant in your current life?
Yeah, Aviral, good question. Yeah. This second part of question we'll take after 5 minutes. The first part of the question I'll answer, right? How relevant was DOSM and all? So I will answer how relevant was DOSM in my current scenario. It was important from two aspects. The first aspect is that it brought out intrinsics from within me. So how would I have known that maybe I'm a better fit for this? My people relationships are good. My communications I need to improve. It's not good, right? The intrinsics come out from all these things, right? But that's from personal development point of view. From professional point of view, if you talk, it was more of a resume point for me while applying to MBA. See, after getting into work, nobody cares whether you're awesome or not. It's too far behind. It's too far behind. It helps you set up yourself within MBA. So again, right? So when McKinsey offered me, so they always tell you for what reason are they inviting you for interviews. For me, the reason was written for being a national level swimmer. So it is something which I was still 10th, right? But that is the point which held. There were PURs, there were other things also. And all those points, small points of me heading work added to my resume, which got me shortlisted. So it helps in shortlisting, not in the job per se. In the job per se, it only brings out your intrinsics that you are good in this, you will come to realize it. These are your strengths. This is where you should play with. These are the things that you should play with. And these are the development areas that you need to improve. Otherwise, clubs and departments are like, that's it. You learn, you grow over there to some extent. In professional angle, then not so much.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
another student asks, would consultants be working on diverse area, or is it focused to some specific field for each consultant?
Good question. Yeah. So I'll answer. So there are multiple fields. So there are some consultants who are hired to do only one specific kind of job, right? As a consultant, I'm a generalist. So like, for example, I work on diverse areas. So then the first category of people you can call as experts, and then the second category call as generalist. I'm a generalist. So my first project was, for example, in mining study production improvement. My second study was product development for a tractor manufacturer. My third study was productivity improvement at a pharmaceutical company. My fourth study was new product development at a chemicals manufacturer. My fifth study was helped ramp up these ventilators during current COVID times. My sixth study, then there were multiple things, and then now I'm doing manufacturing ramp up at TAS, right? So like it's diverse areas. It depends on. So, and then there are experts. There are experts who know that how to decrease cost. So there are cost experts. Proper. There are people who know how to do ramp ups. There are people who know how to expand markets. So there are experts and there are generalists. I hope that answers your question. Second was that what kind of technical skills does a consultant need? Yeah, so technical skills you learn on the fly. As simple as that. I know pure Excel. That's it. Okay, and pure Excel to 5% of Excel's capability, and that gets me through. What's more needed is, see, there are 3-4 angles to become a good consultant. First is good problem solving, second is good structuring, and third is good communication. I think so if these 3 things are solved, you can be a great consultant. So not so much from technical. For other things, you hire other people. If I need a great data, I would rather hire a great data scientist than learn data science myself. I am hired for my problem solving ability. Generalist consultant role seems fun, but will demand a lot of knowledge and effort, right? Okay, so effort, yes. knowledge, no. You see, this is the thing that consultants learn over the period of time, that it's a problem solving skill. The problem statement, so even for hiring process, we solve cases. The problem, so when I entered a case, so when I sat for my interview process, the case was that there is a telecom company in Vietnam, and they have had a constant revenue for the past 3 years. Can you help? That's it. And that's the interview process. And then through the interview, you understand, you get some data, you try to understand, you structure your whole process, you problem solve, and then you give proper recommendation. That's the generic concept, the whole consulting also. Whatever thing, it's basic problem solving, structured problem solving, which can be applied. You gain knowledge about the industry as you are into the field. Say if it's a 3-month process, within 1 week, you will know inside out of that industry, maybe, if that's content oriented. But pre-knowledge of anything is not required. Your MBA does definitely help in getting some very good answers across. And effort is day in, day out. Huh? Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, Viral, sorry, you were saying something.
So I was asking, like, your triple degree was just a like gateway to MBA. Like after MBA, it's technically of no use.
My triple E BITS degree was gateway to not even MBA. My triple E BITS degree was there. When I entered BITS, I had no clarity. Like I wanted to become an engineer, but after BITS, like in BITS, I decided to do an MBA, right? So then apart from this BITS tag, there were other things which supplemented me to enter triple E. Then otherwise, then it becomes immaterial. After an MBA, it becomes immaterial whether I'm an electronics engineer or a mechanical engineer, because I have changed my field of career. My career path itself has changed.
And that's completely opposite to what Praharsh did, because his engineering degree contributed everything to what he did in the future.
I feel bad, but it's okay. Guys, so just wanted to quickly summarize, right? What we have spoken till now, and very quickly we'll also send this across on we'll send this across to you over this one specific slide over mail. I think so the major gist of it, what we were trying to say, right, that while preparing for masters, there are 3-4 things that one should keep in mind. That there has to be clear decision metrics on why you want to do an MBA. I know multiple of my friends who have done MBA, and after entering, then they started not enjoying it. So they were unclear before opting for an MBA, and then they regretted. Second is that you have to, while preparing, you have to work on your weaknesses, bring rigor into the prep. You can't just do 2 hours and then expect a 99.9 percentile. People are able to crack 99.9 percentile with 2 hours, but those are extremely smart. I was amazingly average. In order, if you are amazingly average, you have to put those number of hours in. And third, extracurriculars are very, very, very important, right? It's just not, as I was explaining, it brings your intrinsics out. Also, it acts as a good resume point. Once into the MBA, you also have to get into a good company. In order to get into a good company, these all are necessary things. While doing masters, right, and like while you are in the B school, there are I think so the biggest takeaway is that you have to make connects. Once you start making connects, you know your batchmates, you know your seniors, you know your professors. It's a good taken point whether you can from, like, if in the case that you want to shift from your current company to the next company, you start making connects within the industry, and that helps. Not immediately after MBA, but in the long run, say 5 years, 6 years, it will start giving you those results, those connects. One more learning for me was, as Praharsh was also mentioning, right, that explore your passion during your summer internship or whichever internship you're doing. Your internship should be for what you want to do. Don't try to bring that career angle and everything inside. This is the point that I missed. I went into consulting just because of rat race. Actually, now I started enjoying it to some extent in the initial 2-3 years now. But I entered consulting only because of rat race, not lying. Right? I personally know that I would have rather wanted to do marketing. But I did not do that. I know my friends who have done that, and now they're super happy. So that's the second learning. And third is that maintain GPA. GPA is, there is a minimum bar that you should always meet, and that bar has to be there. It is the safeguarding of your entering a B score is not the benchmark. Exiting with a good job is the goal. So that in order to do that, maintaining GPA is important. And lastly, while deciding career path post masters, two things that I would recommend, right? Two learnings that I got was, the first one was that you should talk to like 15-16 people, understand in detail what their job description is. Just like today I spoke about what I do day in day out of my in consulting, the same way you should talk to other people and understand what, once you are into MBA, you should understand what does a marketing person do, what does a product developer do, what does a program developer do, what does a finance person, a banker, investment banker, what are the different things available, how does the day look like, what is the work that they're doing, right? And that will give you clarity of, okay, whether this is for me or this is not for me. Raj, over to you.
Yeah. In the same way, if I have to say for research, then while preparing, first most important thing is to explore different fields and topics. And it's the most important output from that would be to identify what really intrigues you and what is the thing that you really want to create an impact in. Secondly, I would say help others and seek help from others. And this is something which I've used which is the formula which I go for always, that I like, even for the session today, like me and Anadi, and I am sure Anadi also follows the same. That just yesterday, Anadi worked for 20 hours in one day. And then on Friday night, he calls me, okay, let's make the slides, let's give our best for the students out here. So this is something which will always, I think, going the extra mile always helps. Thirdly, get hands-on experience through projects, different projects, thesis, and if you can get an international research experience during your time at BITS, I think it will be wonderful. And I would say that that's not just for getting into masters, but also for your own development as well. And while I was doing masters, something which I did, what like I think learned, was to focus on the strengths. And this is something key, that unless you specialize or like try to make the most of your strengths, things get easier around it. Secondly, be open to ideas, ways of thinking, and opportunities. So especially when you're living in like a completely different country, where with multicultural people from different nationalities, most important thing is to be open to ideas. And actually, once you're open, it brings in new opportunities and new ways of thinking. Thirdly, I would say what I learned was to collaborate. So it's sort of linked with the first point, that when you are focusing on your strengths, it's also important at the same time that you have a multidisciplinary aspects of, especially of your field and in general as well. So the best way is to discuss with others, to collaborate with others, either formally or informally. And then finally, what was most intriguing for me was the balance between fun and hard work. Like I have, like in my masters, there are fellow peers and friends who partied every Thursday till like 2 and 3 in the morning. And yet in the Friday mornings class, they were there delivering their assignments and results. And this was initially unimaginable for me. And then later on, I realized, okay, how they are doing it. It was quite impressive.
Because he's a topper, that's why it was unimaginable.
And then while deciding on masters, I think it was quite similar to what Anadi said. Like, firstly, I would say that what I had also addressed earlier, that learnings from your internship and your thesis, and then helping, like using that to help with your decision making. And then what I personally did, like before joining Veto, I reached out to the Bitsian at Veto. And then it was like, we are now good friends here. And then it was also like good to know and also to decide on. And if not, I think at most places, you would find the ideal Bitsian for you. And if not, there are other people which you should definitely reach out, who could be helping you as well at your potential future company or the research group that you're interested in. So we'll definitely send this across in a mail, and then also few links that we feel it would be interesting for you guys.
Perfect. Couple of questions again that we got on the chat box, right? And we had already received these. So just wanted to take these up. And I'm actually, since I'm in the presentation mode, please somebody, if there are any more questions coming in, you please let us know. But Prahash,
Sure.
let's pick these up one by one, right? I'll start off from the management question, right? What does an MBA hold for me if I want to start my own business? And I think so. So let me answer how does an MBA help? So an MBA helps you to develop some specific core. It teaches you some basic answers, right? Like what exactly is marketing? What are the concepts of marketing? How is marketing done? Same goes for finance, same goes for operations, right? And everything is backed by case study. So what you learn is that how overall, how over the scope of time, the industries have developed. How does a CXO take a decision? How does he make an answer? How do companies actually function? That is what you learn. That is the core skill that you understand. Like you theoretically learn it, not by experience, but you theoretically learn it. Now, saying that how will it help to start my own business? You will understand what will it take to run a business. Until unless you get your hands dirty, I will say MBA might contribute say only 5% or less than 10% only in reality. Other 90% is all the things on ground. To supplement this to what I've been doing in consulting, this holds for any other thing also. My MBA contributes 10% to what I'm doing in my current job. To some projects, it contributes 50%, but to most of the projects contributes less than 5% to sometimes 0% also. Correct. I have to get my hands dirty, understand the newness, the job realities, and then move forward, make answers and get the impact. Do I answer that question to some extent? I actually also have a friend from Ahmedabad sitting in my room, and I'll take his advice. Rubu, anything different? Correct, na? Okay. Prash, you want to take another question?
Yeah, so
Fine.
probably I'll take the second one first because Nikunj also asked this in the chat. So he says he's passionate about renewable energy and sustainability and wants to pursue it after BE. So what's the path advice that I would give, and masters abroad or job or something else? Firstly, I would say it is very like dependent on the person to person. So it would be quite interesting to know what exactly in renewable energy that you're interested in. So if I have to think of myself in my 4th year, I was exactly thinking about this, that one of the things which I considered after doing BE was with our friend Jyotvir to go in the Himalayas and have some like solar PV setup there and then bring in electricity to some people in Ladakh and those places, and just to volunteer for a while, because you are in that state where you don't know what exactly you can do or like what exactly interests you the most. So firstly, I think it's important to explore different fields and different ideas, and then if you are not sure at one point of time, then definitely go for a job, because it's like you need to be quite sure if you really want to do masters, because it is a lot of change. It's a huge change from your regular life, and then it's a big investment as well, depending on the university that you go to. So unless you are sure of what you want to do, I would say you shouldn't do it. So in the meantime, you can explore how do you make that answer concrete. So does a job first help you to build your profile, which will help you for the masters? Or if it helps you to answer the question that, are you 100% ready for your masters? So that said, I think most of the fields can be somewhat linked to renewable energy these days, and it's a rising topic. So I'm sure you'll find many opportunities, and it's upon you to decide. And once you take the call, just go for it.
Raj, just to add on to that point, right? So when he says that it's upon you to decide, he's saying that it's upon you to decide based on specific decision criterias. You list down those criterias. It has to be exhaustive. It is not a random call that one day we'll wake up and we'll say we want to do masters, right? So friends, this is a very, so engineering is okay. We being Indians, we tend to jump into engineering, but post engineering, the life is not the same, right? So we have to be not crystal clear, but directionally we have to be right. And that directionally right answer also will only come once you have decided what are my decision criteria. How do I decide whether I want to do an MBA or not? Or how do I decide whether I want to do research or not? That clarity has to be there. Have those tens of conversations with people at your home, with your relatives if necessary, whatever it takes, but build that clarity.
For sure, yes.
Okay, so yeah, guys, we are short of time. We have 10 more minutes. So what I'll do is I'll try to quickly answer each of these questions, Prash, and then I'll give it up to you again. How important are undergraduate grades in CAT, and is work experience really necessary? Question number 1, how important are undergraduate grades in CAT? So split it into again 2 parts. To enter in for CAT, they're important for some specific institutes, but there are other institutes also, like say top tier institutes. If I consider Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, ABC, right? A and B are very pushy on grades. C not so much. C is overall profile. So the weightage there is less. A 6-pointer would get into a Cal. That's possibility. But grades are extremely important once you have entered the campus, because this is the basis on which companies will give you shortlist. Say a big 3 consulting or say big 4 finance companies, they will not give you a shortlist if you are not a 9-pointer, 10th, 12th, and engineering. Luckily, at 8 point, I got a shortlist, but it's seldom. It's not for all 8 pointers will get a shortlist. So grade matters even after you enter, because that is how companies shortlist you for interview process. So that's the second part. Is work experience really necessary? So again, right, work experience does hold some point when it comes to entering the B school. So, and it is a bell curve. A person with 0 experience gets 0 score. With 1 years will have some score. 2 years will have more score. 2.5. But then it is a bell curve, so it keeps falling. So at 3 years it will fall, 4 years it will fall. This bell curve, this ranges and everything keeps shifting. I don't remember it, but overall this is the concept. So for entering, it's important. Yes, it gives you some additional points while entering. Within a B school, a work experience adds. It's so the content is then more relatable. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that you are able to contribute more sometimes in the lectures, because you have seen it happening. So you can relate more. You can, so that it's in your head, and then you can relate. Okay, so this is what was happening. This is what was right. This is what was wrong. Blah blah blah. Whatever, and that's how the whole thing flows. So that's that part. The third question which came about: what is the level of communication skills needed to have a good shot in the interview? Communication, skill you will be able to build, and I will say this why. For the interview purpose, you will have a 2-month period after the results come out. You will be prepping at that time only for interview. So you will build this skill. Honestly, I was not able to speak as clearly as I'm able to. I'm still not 50% to even where the senior partners are, right, at the firm. But overall, communication is a journey throughout life. As far as the interview is concerned, you will be able to do it. Don't be much worried. Till the time you're clear and able to communicate, it's okay, irrespective of however slow or fast you are. Last question is how relevant and useful is the content we study in B school in real life? How is life in B school? Okay, so content, how useful is the content, correct? So as I was saying, it's project to project dependent. Now, at some projects I have used 0%, because that's completely new. It's not taught at B school. The ground reality is completely different. Okay, so there I was not able to apply. But now let me give you an example. The current project that I was talking about, which is manufacturing, I am doing a planning. Planning is one of the work streams that I'm helping to solve. With plan, I'm able to increase 2,000 tires per day. With that, with my work stream, I'm able to bring impact of 2,000 tires per day. Therein, I'm using all the MBA concept that I've used. I'm using the concept of economic order quantity, reorder point, lot size, what is, how, when should you book, how should you book, and every single thing that I've learned in MBA. I was to the cusp of actually calling my IIM Bangalore professor to take his gyan on how I can solve it. But luckily I researched and I solved it myself. But that's the core. So there are studies where you will use that knowledge. There are studies where you will not use that knowledge. Most of the studies could actually fall under category 2, but the MBA knowledge will actually improve your thinking process. The thought process changes. The way you look at things changes, right? So that's how it helps. Life in B school, amazing. So guys, the first 3 months is tough, right? Because at that time everybody is new. They are trying to adapt to the work culture. So actually, let me first talk about culture, right? Culture is that people across varied fields, across various areas of life coming together and getting into a setup of case study kind of learning, wherein you prepare for the next day's lecture. You read cases, you prepare answers, you go into lecture, you answer the answers, you learn. It's very different from you enter a class and you listen from professors, right? So that cultural, there is a shift. That's there, right? And having said that, the first 3 months are tough because people are new to this. There are assignments on every single day basis, so you're awake till 3. Plus, in addition to that, you are preparing to get internship. So you are making resumes, you are preparing for yourself for case studies, the other interviews which are going to come in the month of November. So all those things are happening in parallel. But after that, it's only party. So life was amazing. We used to have a lot of fun. Made again a similar big group I am Bangalore, and I visited them 2 weeks back in Goa. Currently also I'm in Goa visiting one of my friends from McKinsey only. But overall, life is good. You will have fun if you get a chance. Do it. Proud showed you.
Yeah, so quickly answering the questions about preparing for masters and advice for someone who wants to pursue MS in mechanical engineering from foreign university. So firstly, I think sticking to the previous points where like find exactly what in mechanical engineering is interesting for you. So like the fields are energy, automation, robotics, control, and like the fields are constantly evolving, like materials, chemistry, like so this is something which would be first to identify, and then look at what are the best practices or like which are the universities which are doing amazing work in the topics that you are interested in, and then follow the process through projects and internships. So something quite similar to what I had said before. How is life in grad school? I think the shift which Anadi said is quite real. The shift is quite huge, and it's so different for MBA and different for masters as well. So for us, for me, it was like incredible that there are some topics which I learned not from the books but from research papers. So the books aren't even there yet in those topics, like say carbon capture, solar fuels, and these are the fields which will be there in say 15-20 years, which we might be using, we might not be using, but then that's the kind of exploration that you do in research. So there I remember one class where it was held in actually a lab rather than an actual classroom, and we got to see the sparks and the dielectric constant calculation rather than just reading it from the book. So that was quite huge. And then also for me personally, it was like at ETH Zurich, and sitting in classrooms where say von Neumann was there, or like Albert Einstein used to pass by, and it is quite inspiring just to get that feel. And apart from that, of course, a lot of fun for me, a lot of explorations in location wise as well. When Anadi was there, we traveled quite a lot in Switzerland. And apart from that, for me also, like every weekend we used to explore some place in Switzerland or around there and go for a hike or something like that. So yeah, that was just, and as Anadi said, get the answer clear, and once you know your answer, just go for it. It's worth it. It's worth all the efforts.
Yep. Prash, there is one more question that if you answer would be helpful. Priyanshu is asking, what does your day look like? He just, if you can, just summarize once more, it will be helpful.
Right. So apart from the things which I mentioned earlier, like how does my task fit into the bigger picture, like day-to-day life, I would say, firstly, like I'm generally constantly trying to evolve, I would say, like trying to adapt the new things. So from 1 year back, so actually from Corona times, every day when I wake up, I'm doing about 15-20 minutes of meditation. So that's something which I would recommend to everyone. If you can do it, it will be I think it's quite transformational. Like Beatles used to do it, the music bands, Steve Jobs used to do it. Then what's stopping you from trying it out and just see if it works? Apart from that, it's like just setting up the first task, the most important task of the day. So I just switch on all my messages, even at work, and also the email, just to close it off first, because the first hour or so I want to work on the task which I decided yesterday that this is the most important task for me today. And then for the rest of the task, it's like meetings and discussions, and then reading and coding and writing, and like, yeah, a lot of it. And then apart from that, it's outside, it's I think something which I missed to mention before. For a grad or like for research, it's a lot of conferences as well. So you get to go to different places, different countries. Sometimes before Corona times, get to know what was happening in those places, what kind of research is going there, what is the culture there. So this was something which was another factor which motivated me to do masters and continues to do the same.
Thanks, Prash. So actually, Ash has asked, he has asked me that, can you tell us what problems one faces studying abroad? So Ash, I am Bangalore. So, but on one semester I've studied abroad, which is in France. And if that lens I take, absolutely zero problems I faced. But Praharsh is a better judge because he has studied all his life abroad only. Big guy. Praharsh,
I don't know where to start.
but are
But
there
then-
problems? There are no problems, right? I
There
think the
are
problems only
minimal.
come when you come to work visa and all. Otherwise, it's, I think, so good only.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of, but then, yeah, is it like challenge research problem? I don't know what kind of problems. It's
See,
a
problems
problem,
on personal
personal
front,
one, right?
professional front,
Yeah.
nothing will be there, I feel. And there is nothing. Yeah,
Yeah,
sab ho
yeah.
jata hai. It's manageable.
Mhm.
Okay, with that, I think so we are near to the end of our session.
Yeah,
Guys,
and I think one question which Dhyan asked is it fine if they can contact us later on? So
Yeah.
I think this is something which me and Anadi were discussing as well before this session, that feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or wherever you want to reach out to us. And for some days, I think we were also thinking if there is a way we could help you out, and also maybe connecting you guys to some people, for sure, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, so I think so the best value add that Praharsh and I can do is maybe give you directive answers, right, to some of any of the questions that you might have. And very happy to do that. Just so I don't know Praharsh's working style. My working style is that I prefer texts, WhatsApps, so that I can reply at my leisure whenever it is. So please take our contact numbers and you may feel free to WhatsApp us. I might be 100% delayed. I don't reply to Praharsh, so don't expect a reply. Praharsh
That is true.
No, but I will reply as and when I find time, right? I take out time specifically, and then I will definitely reply. I will ensure that. Also, what we'll do, the key learnings page, we feel that that's the most important part that all of you should remember. This session, I hope, was helpful from the point of view that you get direction as in what to think, how to think, right? And it's the mindset has to be very clear. That clarity has to be there so that you are able to do what you want to do. I hope this overall was useful. Will Shreyanshi, overall up to you guys again once more.
Yeah, amazing session. It was really nice to know, like, the two alumni is doing amazingly well in two different, completely different fields. Got perspective from both for both the sides. It was really amazing.
Shreyanshi, you missed a word there. Amazingly average.
No.
Not average.
I guess after all this, all our doubts are cleared. Like, I'm more clear on two.
In my opinion, not at all
No.
average. You all are
And it sounds
inspirations.
good. My job is to make it sound good, right? Don't worry.
Yeah, so with this, we come to the end of our alumni diary session. Thank you, Praharsh and Adi, for taking out time, sharing your journeys with us, and for motivating us to strive harder. We have put up a feedback form in the comment section, and we request the audience to kindly fill the form as they leave. And yeah, that's it. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, guys, please do fill the form. It will help us know how we can, be better prepared for the next time. Perfect.
Bye everyone.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Yeah, thanks, bye. Thanks. Thanks to the organizing committee.
Yeah.